Today, I'm going to reveal to you my entire inventory, from uncommon all the way up to mythics, looking at not only gun skins, but also characters. So get ready to join me on this journey, starting with the Technologic Camo on the Type 25. This has been in the game as far back as I can remember. First releasing in the beta, many of you probably have never seen it before, and although it's classified as a camo now, it was known as a fully fledged skin back then, similar to the Neon Tiger, and one nobody could forget, the PDW Zombie Gene. It's insane to think now that back then, all of these uncommon skins were seen as amazing. I can confidently say that when a new color of skin came out, I was hyped. They didn't need to have effects, dynamic movement, charms, custom iron sights, anything. I was just happy to get something with a little bit of vibrance compared to what I was used to playing with in the beta. As you can see, as all my uncommons fly through your screen, many of them have went unrecognized or forgotten. But if I dare say the name, it will probably flood you with memories. Like the S36 Yellow Triangle, AK-117 Ancient Ruins, or even the Abnormality, Ashen Purple, and Blue Graffiti for the MSMC. I can't remember right now just how many uncommons I actually have, but up on the screen is the total. And by the end, we're gonna see just how many character and gun skins I have in my inventory. And if you like inventories, you should check out this brand new title called Delta Force, who sponsored today's video. Being a cross-platform, operator-based tactical shooter, this thing is set to launch first on PC and mobile, offering 3 unique different modes to bring you the best multiplayer experience for an FPS this year. With the story mode known as Worldview, where you have to find out what happened to a missing CEO, and Extraction mode, where you go in, loot up, and get out, and Black Hawk Down, which delivers an intense single-player experience that have been licensed from the original Delta Force Black Hawk Down video game. Between me and you, I'm specifically excited for this because it's developed by Timmy Studios, who also made the game that I'm making this video on. It'll be launched with 4 unique operator classes: Assault, which will probably be my favorite, Engineer, which is definitely for the team workers, Support, for people who just can't get any kills, and Recon, which I can only assume will be people who like to snipe. Make sure to check out the official website for Delta Force down below in the description and in the pinned comment, as it'll be coming out soon. And soon after the release of all of these uncommons, we started getting rare skins in the game, one of which I absolutely loved back in 2019, being the MSMC Halloween. But don't let that distract you from one of my favorite camos of all time, the AK-117 Color Burst. By far my most go-to skin of that golden era in COD Mobile.
I got it. Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby.
Now, of course, there was the Star Camo that also released around this time for ranked reward, but nothing came close to the Color Burst.
Yes, sir. You see me clutching up for the boys? Oh, hop on that B flag, bro.
Saying that, this particular weapon got a lot of love, as it received the Dark Victorian, Bandit, Evil Chip, Cyberline, and many more rares. And in case I haven't hit you in your feels yet, or you didn't play in Season 1, 2, or 3 of Call of Duty Mobile, check out the Type 25 Pinstripe. This was originally a Battle Pass free skin, and seeing it now makes it come across as basic. But let me tell you, during that year, it was one of the most used of any skin in the game.
No way, dude. Get out of my game, bro.
If you joined slightly later, maybe you'll remember the Deep Shark Camo, which was on multiple different weapons, probably the most famous being the DLQ. I, however, never really gelled with it as much, but I was a fan of the Evil Clown, which was given as a free reward for the S36 around the same time when I was #1 on the leaderboards for ranked, and also collecting whatever kind of credits or points you needed to unlock this skin. There were many other Halloween-themed ones as well, like the S36 Headless Rider, and some that you may recognize from here. And throughout the years, there have been loads released into the game, but I haven't really kept track of them as much. And as you see them fly through right beside me, there's only a couple I have some sort of emotional connection to, because soon after, they started releasing a lot of epics, and of course, the introduction of legendaries in the last month of 2019 and the first few months of 2020 made the rares and uncommons kind of go to the wayside, making everyone just kind of forget about them. But up until this point, here's how many uncommons I have in my main account, and also how many rares I have as well. You thought I was gonna go into the epics without mentioning these set of rare camos? Well, you were wrong. It's the best rare camos in all existence of the game. They're not the G-series. They're not the Countless Stars or the Halloween. They are the Glaciers. For guns like the M4, RUS, AK, and Arctic 50, these to this day are one of my favorite skins of all time. It doesn't matter about the rarity. They could have released these as freaking mythics, and I would still think they are absolutely beautiful. Now it's time to cover something a little more epic. 3 of which go down in history as the most rare epics of all time in the game. The least rare of them is the AK-47 Red Action, which you could obtain through what I believe was level 100 on the Battle Pass in Season 1. Not very many people were able to achieve that, but funnily enough, they released the same Battle Pass in Season 1 as they had in the beta, so I already had it. The second one is the DLQ, which is probably the most famed out of all 3 of them, and if you were in COD Bubble from the start, you may remember this clip from my Twitter. Yep, it was all bot kills, but back then, everyone thought it was insane. Lastly is the Buy 15. This is by far the rarest out of the bunch, and you could only obtain it through opening up a lot of crates, similarly to the DLQ, but just nobody kept unboxing for this. They only cared about the DLQ at the time, and to be honest, they only really care about the DLQ the same now. But I will point out that the Buy 15 actually had its own custom iron sight, which is pretty neat. I'll personally never forget the DRH Chained, as it was one of the most historic epics of all time, on one of the most historic guns for me as well. Double nukes with no death. I just got double nuke. I just got a double nuke in a rank match. Countless stream moments.
Let's go, baby. First respawn with the new weapon equals a nuke, bro.
And overall, just great times.
Got the nuke, boys. Let's go, baby.
With that being said, the DRH in general just has a bunch of really good epics, like the Cybersecurity, Base Camp, Second Anniversary, and of course the best epic of all, Ferg's Nuker. Yes, my very own skin. I haven't mentioned it like 250,000 times already, but it is an epic. Of course, I could not go through the epics without talking about the HBRA3 Dragon Dance, which released as a pay-to-win weapon back in 2020. It was the first of its kind, and I created many videos back then before I had any sort of contact with Activision, saying how they needed to not do this and release the gun for free.
Dude, this gun's nuts.
Up until that point, they were gonna make sure that every weapon that was released in the game was gonna be pay to win. Can you imagine that? It took an insane amount of convincing and videos of me complaining to them for them to change their mind, which also sparked an incredible amount of hype for when it would be released for free. One of the greatest to ever release that wasn't pay to win, however, but did have a very good iron sight was the Man of War Cardinal. You could get this for free in Garena, but you had to pay for it in Global. And although this weapon is kind of tragic now, as it's very slow compared to how we all play, back then, it was the best. Don't let that distract you from the KN44 Eruption, which was my go-to KN44 skin alongside the Living Rust, Frosted Spikes, and even one I helped create, the Championship Mindset. When it came to marksman rifles, however, the SKS Meteoric was my choice over the Particle Splitter Legendary. Its iron sight was just so clean and easy to use.
Nice, dude. I got it.
But when it came to being pretty, nothing did it like the Locust Cosmos. And since I've mentioned this, I gotta mention the Dark Matter as well, as these skins were absolutely beautiful. But there's one gun in the entirety of this title that got the best epics hands down compared to everything else, and that's the ICR, receiving the Dark Matter, Color Spectrum, Lava, which the KRM also got, Nuclear Fallout. Keep in mind, these all move and are animated. Phobos, Circuit Board, Geometry, and many more. I don't think anyone can debate that this is the best epic weapon ever. Honorable mention to the AK-47, because although it has a ton, none of them are really memorable to me other than like the Frostband. Maybe the Steel Blue and the Metallic Mist, but other than that, and the Red Action that I already mentioned, I just never really cared about it. I want you guys to put down below which your favorite of this rarity is in the comment section as they continue to fly past. And if I haven't got one that is one of your favorites, let me know as well, because keep in mind, I didn't buy every single skin that came out in this game. I just had a ton for the first year. Now, before we get on to legendaries, I want to show you guys all of my characters. So let's scroll all the way to the bottom with Scout 2, which is basically just a bot. Similarly to Special Ops 1 and Special Ops 3. Merc 5, on the other hand, I had a couple of cool ones, including the one that I designed for the COD Championships. Never really cared for Merc 2, and it's obvious by the amount of skins I have and the amount that they actually released that COD Mobile didn't themselves. Same with Special Ops 5, 2, and 4. Charlie, I will say, got one good one, known as Sinister, but this Hazmat Bomber is definitely way cooler. Just so outlandish and unique. Now, I know there's a couple of artery simps that love this skin, but I just could never get behind it because there were a couple of other girl skins that were just way better than than this. Like Manta Ray, who is by far the best female character skin of all time. And I'm not gonna debate you because I quite simply just do not care. She's glorious. Surprising to me, the Sentinel Recon actually had a couple of great ones too. And of course, we had like throwback skins from past Call of Duty titles, more great girl skins, and awesome free ones. But to be honest, outside of Manta Ray, there's only really two others that I love, and that's Outrider de los Muertos, because it was my OG go-to. But I do have quite the disdain for it because it was the first thing that COD Mobile decided to re-release. And ever since they done that back in 2020, I stopped buying skins and caring about how rare they were altogether. This was probably the downfall of me buying, and from here on out, I just kind of stopped caring as much. And lastly is of course my own one, being the Ferg skin, which of course I absolutely love, and if you don't, why not? Something that may surprise you is that I don't even have the Mythic Spectre, just because around that time I wasn't really grinding, and I just decided I didn't need it. My favorite legendary, however, is definitely Dark Nikto. He is just in a class of his own. And if Manta Ray wasn't here, it would definitely be Urban Tracker as my favorite girl skin. Here's all of them that I haven't mentioned, which I currently have. Yep, there's quite a few, and many of the same character. It's actually surprising to me just how many there is inside of this title, bro. Like, the list just keeps going on and on. Speaking of going on and on, let's go on to the legendary gun skins. By the way, here's how many character skins I have. Now, we can sit and talk here all day about how each individual legendary is super cool, etc. But I'm only gonna mention the ones that I actually really enjoyed using, like the SKS Luminary, along with the PPSH Emberwing and Combustion, probably the most infamous being the CBR Lattice, which released alongside Messi. But don't let that distract you from the MX-9 Heartless, which terrorized ranked for multiple seasons. The AGR Durandal was great also, but the gun has been terrible since it first came out, which is kind of disappointing. Two I cannot forget are the QQ9 Melting Point and the Cordite 0G, a phenomenal era in the history of COD. But when it goes to bright and colorful ones, I have to say GKS Tactical Unicorn, Dream Crystal Pharaoh and Man of War, Razorback Boreal Aegis, and the KN44 color spectrum are outstanding. Not to mention the S36 Phobos, DLQ Base Booster, Peacekeeper Vivid Notes, FR Super Highway, AK-117 Meltdown, and many, many more. One of which OG ones is the AK-47 Pumpkinhead, which released firstly as an epic and then re-released with the death animation as a legendary the year after. They've done this a few times where they bring something out and then change it, like when they released the Razorback as a skin for the PDW but then re-released it as its own weapon. I'd like to give a special honorable mention to the BK-57 Space Race. Just because I'm obsessed with everything space related, this thing hits the spot. Of course, I couldn't get past this part without talking about the DLQ and AK-117 Holidays, which were the first two legendaries ever released inside of the game, and also are part of the select few that actually live up to the title legendary, because they are true legends. Of course, here are other great ones, and the rest of them that I just do not want to mention because I never really used them, or I just don't care about their existence. Now, finally, we are into the mythics, with the Finnick being the first to ever release. I actually don't really care about this one as much. Like, it has the history there because there was the Akimbos. Oh my god! Nowadays, however, it's definitely very lackluster compared to the new ones. One of which being the Switchblade Neon Legend that looks superb. But don't let that distract you from the FFAR Brightblade, which literally separates a sword from the weapon in its animation. Or the EM2 Eclipse Phaser. If this gun was a little bit better, I'm sure this mythic would get respected way more. It's also that space thing that I told you I liked. Of course, there's the classics, the Kilo Demon Song, the M13 Morning Star, and the Holger Dark Frontier. But there is one that rules them all, being the DLQ Lotus Flames.
Oh my god, Jay's got freaking aimbot.
Easy Klappensteins.
This is why he's the GOAT, chat.
Here are all the rest that I own. I also do have the Peacekeeper, but it's just not on this account. And with that being said, here's the amount of skins from every single rarity that I currently have, along with the characters and the total. With that being said, make sure to subscribe and also check out my new Reacts channel if you made it this far. Bye!